you go then. Live fast, die young.
Hello, it's Lance Nielsen, co-founder of the Outcast Creative. I'm a little bit concerned that our broadcast is not actually streaming live. I'm just going to check because I've got an error message coming up on my other screen. So yeah, it's saying an error has occurred. Please try again later. Okay, well that's really helpful, isn't it? I'm just going to ask Suzette to see if I'm going to add Suzette to the stream, my co-host. Suzette, can you see the stream? Because if we're not broadcasting live, we might have to start again. I don't know why, but I've got on my YouTube, I've got an error has occurred. It was all going so well. You're muted at the moment. What have you got?
It's live on mine.
It's live on yours. Okay.
I can see you.
You're muted at the moment. Right. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, if we're live, fantastic. All right. Brilliant. Okay. That hasn't made us look amateurish at all. It's only our third interview, so you know, third time's a charm. So today we have got the fantastic Velile Tshabalala coming on. She's going to tell us how to pronounce her name when she comes on because I can't do that. But before then, just a couple of other things. So the Outcasts are working on a couple of productions at the moment, both of which are going on stage in London later this year. But we'll also be doing one-off live stream performances of those productions as well. So you'll be able to catch them on our channel at some point. Now, that won't be as good as seeing them live on stage, of course. But the two productions are The Tweet, which is a completely fictional piece about an actress who is starring in a science fiction television franchise and then finds herself in trouble when she tweets a controversial tweet on her Twitter profile and all that unfolds after that. The second one that we're doing is called The Post Office Monologues. That is an entirely factual piece, almost like a drama documentary. And that is the true story of the people impacted by the post office scandal. If you don't know what that is, go and check it. So it is time for another industry interview. Fantastic. Coming soon is Phil Davis, but coming now is Velile, or Vel to her friends. Vel, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Fantastic. Okay. Got a little bit of lag with your image, so you're doing that kind of robotic dance thing. But, you know, fantastic. Really good to see you. Vel is currently in Running with Lions at the Lyric Theatre in Hammersmith, London. And I believe, is that running until the 14th of March? Is that right?
I wish. It's the 12th of March, which is next Saturday.
Right. So you've got a week to see it, guys and girls. And I can tell you now that there's a lot of good seats for 15 quid. That's not to say that there's loads of seats available. There aren't. But there are some good seats available for a mere £15. You can't get seats that good in the West End, but in Hammersmith, you can. 15 quid to see what I'm sure is going to be a fantastic show. I should have seen it this Thursday so I could talk all about it with Vel. Unfortunately, there was a tube strike. And so now I'm going to see it on Wednesday. But contestant number 3, if you want to tell us a bit about yourself and where you come from, to use the immortal words of Cilla Black, and just tell us how you first got into acting, Vel.
Okay, hi. It's Velile Tshabalala here. It's really nice to be here today. Thank you for having me. I was born within the sound of the Bow Bells, as they say. True, Whitechapel.
Nice.
Probably tell I don't pronounce my T's, but I've always wanted to be an actress. I remember watching Whoopi Goldberg when I was little in Jumping Jack Flash.
Jack Flash.
Yeah, absolutely just fell in love with her. Growing up, it is obviously I don't see differences in people, but at the same time, it is really important, I think, in any industry or just in life generally, to have that at least one person to look up to. And when I was growing up, whenever I heard about Black actresses, I never really saw anyone that actually looked like me. That was, dark skinned, and for me, seeing Whoopi Goldberg performing when I first saw her, I was like, oh my gosh, this is someone that I could really relate to. Looks like me, someone that I can, what's the word, relate to, zany, and that's exactly what I want to do. So I've always wanted to do it, but I come from a typical African family where we're not actors. I'm not from an actor's background. And I was told very often, please get a proper job, be a teacher or a nurse or a doctor,
Yeah.
And so, which I can completely Susan's like laughing at me. But yeah. Fear of the unknown. But luckily my auntie had a friend that was an actress, and so she guided me and told me about going to theatre school. So I started at the Sylvia Young Theatre School. I used to go every Saturday, and I think my parents kind of thought, it's a phase, she'll grow out of it, let her do this. But it got worse. I wanted more. Then I was introduced to my agent when I was 16, started doing auditions, and he was incredible because I don't know how he managed it, but he managed to get me a casting for a CBBC show called Kaching, which is my first major role. And I got that, which was wonderful. I remember getting the phone call actually just as I was walking at my last A-level exam. I'll never forget that phone call or that day. And just from then on, I've just worked very, very hard and made connections, and it's carried on from there.
So just to clarify, so you would have been 17 when you got your first acting gig?
My actual very first professional job was as a street dancer when I was 15 for a little firm. There used to be this kids show called Dig It, and as it came up, you used to have all these kids dancing to the tunes that can you dig it? Yes, you can. It was actually as a dancer, but I did a corporate job when I was 16. But my first major role in Kaching, I was 18. I just turned 18 when I got that.
Right.
Just a couple of years ago,
Yes, just last week. Yeah.
It's inevitable that, and I've actually got some questions I've been given as well to ask you, that we're going to have to bring up Doctor Who, which I'm sure you're probably even now getting people writing to you saying, "Can I have a signed photo, please?" Because I know that fan base is very big about signed photos. They're like the Star Trek crowd, Yeah. But in terms of, I want to make sure we talk about what you're doing at the minute, because this sounds like it's quite a special play, and I think it's going to be something that resonates with a lot of people. So you're in Running with Lions at the Lyric Hammersmith, which I love that theatre. It's always doing interesting work. It's not just doing stuff that's waiting for a West End transfer, and it has had West End transfers, but it sort of does stuff that's a bit braver. So I like that about it. They did a fantastic production of Bugsy Malone, it has to be said as well. But you're in it with my good friend Will Johnson, who you've got to tell, he's got to come on the channel. We've got to get him on for an interview where he can talk about all things acting and DJing, because he's a DJ. So is it a 4-hander? Is that right? It's a 4-hander?
5-hander.
5-hander. and you're kind of the linchpin of the piece from what I've read of the reviews. It feels like. Do you want to sort of give us an overview of what it's? Don't give us any spoilers, but give us an overview of what it's about and you know, the basic story, who you play, and how, you know.
Okay, so yeah, it is a fantastic play by the wonderful Sean Carter, who's a new writer, very talented. And yes, the Money with Lions, it's about a Caribbean family, but it's 3 generations. And it's the basic storyline is how they are dealing with loss and grief. Gloria, who I play, has bipolar disorder. She's been in and out of hospital since she was a teenager. And what's made it worse, triggered it even more, is the loss of her brother, who she's extremely close to. She eventually comes out of hospital after a 3-month, after being there for quite a few months, and goes back to live with her parents. So the lovely Will Johnson, who you mentioned, plays my father, and the fantastic Suzette Llewellyn plays my mother. And that is what my struggle as Gloria is. The families, they don't want to talk about anything. My father's a reverend, very well respected. The family are very well respected, and they choose not to talk about Gloria's illness. They just tell people she's been away on holiday, and they don't talk about Josh, who's played by lovely Nikolai King, fantastic actor as well. So Gloria's struggle throughout the play is her parents' reluctance to talk about Josh. He's an artist, all his artwork's being put away. Every trace of him in the house, photos, you name it, is being put away. They don't talk about him. They don't talk about her illness. And it's just her struggle of trying to get them to speak. But inevitably, what happens when we don't talk about these things, you start to see the cracks showing. And you start to see each character, as it gets to the end, reveals what they have been struggling with. And there's some surprises in there as well. I give out a massive shout out to Izzy King, who had to take over 3 days ago from the lovely Ruby Barker, who very sadly got COVID. Ruby was playing my daughter and had to pull out. Izzy came in. We found out on Tuesday, half an hour before the show, that Ruby couldn't come in. The assistant director, male, stepped in to play my daughter. The audience were incredible, really behind him. And then Izzy took over on the Wednesday. We got the phone call at 1:30 in the afternoon. She was at the theatre by 3, less than 2 hours rehearsal, and then she was on stage. And thank God we are going to be able to finish the run, because it's a really, really important story. I think especially now, especially with mental health, which is, I've had my own battles with mental health, and what I really love is how open people are about speaking. It's so important to speak about. And what's surprising is how many people have gone through that battle of mental health and also grief. The storyline's fantastic. It really deals with all of those topics, and a lot of people have come to see it and said how much a lot of it resonates with them in their own lives and people that they know. But it's well worth watching. And it is about a Caribbean family, but it just happens to be about a Caribbean family. I've spoken to my Greek friends, my Polish friends, my Irish friends. It just happens to be about a Caribbean family. It's not about being as such. But it's about those topics and how they relate to so many people.
Fantastic. I mean,
sounds powerful.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming with any topic like this, there's kind of a bit of a balance of humor and seriousness in terms of the tone. So it's not a play without laughs. I'm sure there's some laughs as well.
Yeah, loads. It's that Sean has done such a good job at balancing the two out. So there'll be some really hard hitting bits, and then she comes with the humor just at the right time. And it does start with a lot of humor, especially in the first half. But then as you see the characters kind of falling apart, then there is a switch, which is yeah, it's really powerful and so well done. I'm so blessed to be a part of it. I'm really proud of being part of Running Minds. Yeah,
that sounds great.
Can I ask a question? Because my students, I've got, I'm running the Brum class for Birmingham, and they're all very new to acting. I know a few of them are watching, and they ask about with like a mental health issue. As an actress, how do you play the role, and how do you detach and make sure it doesn't affect you?
That's a really good question. The first thing that I'll say is our director, Michael Buffon, is wonderful. It was very important to us that even though Gloria has bipolar, that we don't have to always see it. She just happens. We don't want to play the illness. You know, what we know she's got bipolar. We don't really need to. We do see her when she's struggling, but we're just looking at someone who is just struggling with loss and with grief. So that was really important for us. And also, yeah, that's a really good question, actually. Detaching us to be honest, the play, it's really nice because the play does have humour in it as well. That's kind of a relief, like a little release there. And also just having a wonderful team. They're so supportive at Hammersmith Lyric Theatre and Talawa, and myself, Nikolai, Will, Suzette and Izzy. We've got that support there as well. And what I found personally is speaking to people afterwards, like the audience members, and that, you know, sharing stories as well. That really helps. That really helps. But I think the main thing that I'll say is just the support that we've got from everyone we're working with really, really does help. And it is important to have that time with your friends and family. Just make sure that you rest yourself as well in between.
I imagine talking to the audience after, and it's, you know, you don't get to do that very often as an actor, really. It's not like you know, not a lot of actors come off stage in the West End and wander around the streets and have a chat or nip to the bar.
Mostly at the bar, we have these chats.
500-600 people. But at the Lyric and a couple of other places like the Young Vic and those, you see that happening quite a lot. It's quite nice. So that must validate the work in a way, getting that kind of feedback.
It really is. Like what I'll say on that, actually, it's funny you said down the street, because when we first opened, I think we'd done about 3 shows, and there was a lady that stopped me when I was on the way to the theatre just to say how much she enjoyed the show and how much it touched her. And something that Will said to me, Will Johnson said to me, is it really is special because people can come and see the show, enjoy it and go home. They don't have to come up and take the time to say how much they enjoyed it and whatever. And that really means so much to us. We can't even put into words. And I've spoken to people who had bipolar and just gone, now I completely relate to what Gloria is going through. And to hear that, and to hear that we've touched people in that way is, it really, really means a lot. Really means a lot.
Can I ask you how long you had to rehearse it?
Yeah, it was 4 weeks. So we started rehearsing on the 10th of January.
Right.
And then we opened on the 12th of February.
So a month of rehearsals, and what's that? Monday to Friday, 9 to 5?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, more or less. Well, more like Monday to Friday, 10 till 6. And I haven't done theatre in such a long time, and I've just forgot how incredible the process is. I loved it. I really enjoyed the process, and just, you know, having the discussions about the backstories of each character, and just, you know, working through the subtext. And it's such a wonderful, wonderful process. And just, you know, researching bipolar and just talking to people, it's just been amazing. Really.
How did that start? Was it like sort of day one you came in and you all did a table read of the scripts and kind of went from there?
Yeah, that was it. So we had all of them, Talawa Theatre Company and everyone that works in the Lyric Hammersmith come to welcome us, say hello, introduce ourselves. And then Sutra Gilmore, our wonderful set designer, had made a small version of the stage to show us, and then she explained, you know, the concept. And it explained how she came with it. And then it was just table reads and just discussing each character, even just going into such details. discussing the costumes and what, you know, just things like, I don't know what each character does, you know, for work, or just really getting into the character, discussing and just establishing the relationships and all of that with table reads, and it's just establishing what each character's role was within the play, which is really helpful. So by the time, that's what's wonderful about theatre, by the time you have done all that groundwork, by the time you do get it on its feet, it's really embedded. You know, the script is the character, your intentions, everything. So I'm really grateful that we have to do it.
So there's quite a lot of work that goes on before you even get to blocking it. So
absolutely,
so that almost like the blocking is natural. It's like, well, I would naturally just do this. I know what my character would do. They would do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's you know, I think that's a great way to work. You should never have to think about going to the chair. You should just be able to go to the chair, you know. To quote a situation I was in once. Fantastic. So just to reiterate, Running with Lions is on now, not literally now, but are you dark Monday nights? Are you dark on Monday nights?
What's that?
Are you dark on Mondays?
What do you mean? We're dark on Mondays?
That's a phrase. That's a phrase in theatrical terms, which means the theatre is not running on a Monday night.
Oh, see, look, you learn something new every day in this industry.
Every day.
I just realised it might sound to the people who are sort of not initiated in those things that I was making some kind of racial connotation there.
Well, even also the thing
dark, it means when a stage is dark or a theatre is dark, it means it's not in production.
The lights aren't on.
My friend Josh, who's in the chat, has just said, I know this is blasphemous, but I haven't seen any Doctor Who. It's all right, Josh. We're not talking about Doctor Who yet. He has seen a lot of Star Wars, and Vel is intending to get into Star Wars as soon as the scripts get better, of course. No, so do you have a performance on Monday nights then?
Yeah, Monday nights. So Sundays are our day off.
Right. Okay.
And then Sunday back.
So it's Monday to Saturday, and there's a matinee Saturday and there's a matinee Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
But don't look for Vel after the matinee on Wednesday, because she will be busy chatting to me in a pub at a secret location when we have a catch up before I go and watch the show on Wednesday evening. Well, seeing as Josh, my good buddy in YouTube, who I was going to make a moderator today, but Josh, my YouTube's down. I can't get into it. I've no idea why.
Fine.
But yeah, I'll figure it out later. But yeah, let's talk about Doctor Who. So you were cast. I think would it be, before I get onto that, would it be fair to say that you're not? I would put you more in the category of people like that actress I really the girl who made I Shall Destroy You.
Michaela Cole.
Michaela Cole, thank you.
Yeah.
She's very much kind of she came from kind of similar roots to yourself, I think it would be fair to say. Yeah. And she was not part of what I would call the our industry is definitely permeated by class. Mm-hmm. There's definitely a class element. Would you agree?
Yeah.
And she definitely is not part of what I would call the establishment class. She's self-made, very self-determined. I love that about her. And I mean, that's why her work is able to take the risks that it does.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She was so micromanaged. There's no way. I think you've come from a similar background to that, and may Michaela Cole give you a job very soon.
I'd love to work with Michaela.
Yeah, well,
I absolutely love her work. She's brilliant. And,
she was actually offered one of the roles in The Journey.
Oh, was she?
Before you came on board, and we got a really lovely message off of her. That was when we did the first shoot, not the second one.
First, right, yeah.
Right, so I'm not saying that to say, oh, by the way, Vel. No, when we did the first shoot, she was offered the role then before I'd even met you, and she was the first person that got offered that part. because she looked a bit like the person concerned. And I remember seeing her headshot and going, "Oh my God, we've got to cast this person." And she was shooting Cucumber at the time. So, what I've learned about watching kind of institutional series, shall we say, is it does seem like a lot of the top end roles, it's quite difficult for people that come through a different route into the industry, let's say. It's quite difficult for them to nab those juicy parts. And Doctor Who, at one point, I remember an actor and a casting director telling me it had a reputation for, even if there's a one-line role in Doctor Who, we want someone who's got 25 credits on IMDb to do that role. You know, and I've had a couple of friends who've been on it who had different experiences in different small supporting roles. Maybe you could take us through, how was it that you got in front of the Doctor Who casting director? How did that all come about? This is for the Doctor Who Christmas special David Tennant era, which, as we know, is the best era of the new Doctor. The best era. Absolutely the best. Josh will agree with me in chat, even though he's never seen any Doctor Who. He's absolutely certain it's the best era. No, it is. I think Critical Drinker, who's a YouTube critic, I'm pretty sure he said David Tennant is his favourite of the new era. I like Matt Smith as well. Tennant and Matt Smith, both brilliant. Had good scripts, very good scripts as well. So how did you get in front of the casting director? What happened? Tell us.
Yeah, I remember at the time. Actually, just a quick thing as well. I was going to say, I'm so glad I just got in there before David Tennant left. So I just was right at the end of that era.
Yeah.
But what was I at the time? I was doing it at the theatre. I was doing a play that was touring like the Northwest, and I think it was the last week. I was away on it for maybe about a month, and the last week I got a phone call from my agent saying, you've got to come to London for Friday for an audition. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, that's fine. Luckily, we didn't have to go on the Friday. And then found out it was for Doctor Who. And then, which I was like, that's absolutely amazing, just expecting it to maybe be a couple of scenes. But I'm flicking through the script like, oh, wow, okay, hold on a minute. This is like the assistant for this episode, which is absolutely incredible. So I went down to London on the Friday, and then I did the audition, which I felt went really well. But you know, you can do an amazing audition and you still don't get it. So you know, headed back to Manchester on the Monday, and then it was the following Friday. It was really weird because I remember the following Friday it was the last day of my tour. And I woke up in the morning after having a dream that I'd got the role, Doctor Who, then woke up really annoyed, like, oh.
It's a dream. I know those ones.
Literally 10 minutes later, my phone goes off. My agent was like, are you sitting down? I was like, no. She was, I think you should sit down. And then she was like, you've got the role. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. Such a lovely feeling. But I'm not sure how true this is, and I can't remember where I heard it from. Actually, no, it was from one of my friends. My wonderful friend, another actress called Debbie Chazen. She's fantastic. She was in the Doctor Who Christmas special a year before me. We used to do a sketch show together, Bang Bang, and I remember when we were filming that, she was going back and forth to Cardiff, and I was like saying to her, I said to her, why do you keep doing off? What's going on? She was like, I'm filming Doctor Who, I'm really excited. I remember saying, oh, I'd love to do an episode of that. Lo and behold, a year later, I get the audition for Doctor Who. But apparently, when they were looking for the role for Zeta, I think Andy Pryor saw a scene, remembered a scene that Debbie and I had done together, and got contacted my agent off the back of that. So, yeah.
Fantastic.
Really grateful for that. But I had such a good time on that show. It was absolute from the very beginning. I just remember I've got so many great memories of it. And I remember when I first got the role, someone said to me, "That's it. You've got a job for life now." And I didn't know what they were on about, what they were talking about. But as you were saying, Lance, now I did it in 2008, and I still get asked to have like pictures sent through and letters, and some Doctor Who fans have come to the Lyric as well to come and get some photos signed and come to see the show. It's just amazing. It is a really special. It is.
Yeah,
really,
it's
I mean,
really
don't
special.
don't indulge those people that turn up at the door with like 20 pictures of the same thing for you to sign. They're those people that then go and flog them on eBay,
Last.
and you know that should be you doing that. That's your income.
It's not to be at the end of the day, Lance. These people, the reason I'm in a job.
Oh no, I'm not talking about the
No, it's
fans. I'm not talking about the fans. I'm talking about the autograph grifter people. They're a bit.
Oh right, I see.
You know, the people that make a living at doing that. They're not fans. They go there just to get the autographs.
Oh
They
yeah,
don't care,
yeah.
and they're just there to profit off your career.
Yeah.
The fans, you absolutely 100%.
They're
You
the
know,
best,
if I
the
was in your
fans, real
position, I'd
fans.
be trying to reply to every letter I get if I could.
Yeah.
Do you do the conventions as well?
Yeah, it's been a while since I've done one. I think it was a couple of years ago. But yeah, they're always good fun. There's
one coming up. They're calling it Comic-Con in Wales, but it's in Telford. You can tell it's being run by Americans because they think Telford is in Wales. It's actually in Shropshire. But they've got Sam Jones, who was the 80s Flash Gordon, headlining it with a load of other people. And I think they're still taking on people there. You should get in on that because, you know, there's a few people from Doctor Who there. I think I might be wrong, but I think Tennant might be at that one. Could be wrong. You want to get on there. So I mean, I just want to, from a point of view of actors and production people watching. Okay, you get cast in Doctor Who, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've had a month rehearsals on Running with Lions before your feet touch the stage. How much rehearsal time do you get to run the lines or work out your chemistry with your actors on Doctor Who before your feet touch the set?
So Doctor Who, I remember they started filming. So I did the audition, got the part a week later. And then I remember we had our first read through maybe about a week after that. And I'll never forget that day actually, because I turned up thinking it was just going to be like any other kind of table read that I've done before. But no, like everyone from Doctor Who was there. So obviously the cast, which I was already in awe of anyway, because you had Mr. Tennant, you had David Morrissey, Dervla Kirwan as well, two incredible actors. And then everyone from the Doctor Who world was there, like Doctor Who magazine and, you know, obviously everyone involved. And I must have looked like a, you know, deer in the headlights, because lovely Dervla came and just grabbed my hand and said, come and sit next to me. She goes, I'm really like overwhelmed as well. There's like so many people here. So we did that, and that was amazing. But then
I met Dervla Kirwan. She was in a play called Round the Corner, or J.B. Priestley, Round the Corner, something like that. It's set in a house, and a record jumps, and then suddenly everything changes in the scene, and it's like there's a devil orchestrating things. Who was played by a friend of mine, Jacqueline Pierce, who played Servalan in Blake 7, another BBC institution. Cool. Sadly no longer with us. And as I was waiting for Jacqueline, Dervla went walking right past me, and I called out her name and said, I've got to work with you. And she turned around and said, write me a bloody good script then. And I said, I will. And I sent her one, never heard a thing. But she may well not have got it, because, you know, knocking on the front door, you don't know who gets things, do you? So
that's it, exactly.
But she was lovely. She was really nice. Had a very nice energy.
So nice. So lovely.
And she met her husband on that play.
Oh, what was that? Her husband was on the play.
Yeah, she met her husband on that play.
Oh, she met her husband on the play. Oh,
yeah, because I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but I think she's married to Rupert Penry Jones. Is that right?
Don't know.
I don't know. I'm going to get the pluck to check that on Google quickly, and then we can quickly publish an apology and a retraction if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But I think she met her hubby on that show, who's Rupert Penry Jones, who's also a fantastic actor and a really nice guy. And he was attached to one of my films for a long time, and sent me a number of nice messages. And I told him, "Oh, I saw you in that play." And he said, "Oh, you saw us in Round the U Bend." That's what the cast all called it, apparently. So,
Yeah.
you know, there you
You
go.
are correct, Lance. You are correct.
There you
So,
go.
John Reed, who's watching, has put a comment up. Loved Titty Bang Bang when Debbie's character wanted to go on the Jeremy with Valile's character. Carl was on the plane back from Miami once. My wife and me were photographed with him. Oh, well, I mean, you can't help that, can you, John?
Sorry about that.
You know, do you still use that photograph to bribe your wife for things? Or I don't know if I'd want a photograph with Jeremy Kyle, to be honest. I mean, he's probably perfectly pleasant on a sort of one-to-one basis. Flight back from Miami. That's a long time to sit next to Jeremy Kyle in my book. So, I mean, let's talk about David Tennant. I've got to tell you, he's one of my favorite actors of all time. And I've been a fan of his ever since he was in a little known 4-part BBC drama called Taking Over the Asylum, which almost no one watched. And if you haven't seen it, it is available on DVD. You can track it down. I've got it in the room next door. I wish I had it now to show you. But it's basically about a man who runs a radio station in a hospital ward for people with mental health issues. And a very young David Tennant, in what I would say was his first leading substantial role. I can't remember if his character's called Fergus or if the guy who's his friend is Fergus. One of them's called Fergus. But he's kind of super hyperactive, much more so than me, if you can imagine such a thing. And I just thought, this actor's brilliant. I haven't seen this guy before. You know, why haven't I seen him? And then the next thing I saw him doing was an advert at the cinema, which was a rip on Citizen Smith, if you remember Citizen Smith, the TV show, wearing a red beret, and he was in a tank. I can't remember what the advert was about.
Citizen Smith, Robert Lyndhurst used to.
Robert Lindsay.
Lindsay's.
Yeah, Nicholas Lyndhurst is who you're thinking of.
Remix.
Yeah, Robert Lindsay. That's right. It was a rip on, and I saw David Tennant, and I was like, "There's that guy again. There's that guy again from Taking Over the Asylum that no one's seen in anything. I love this actor. What's he going to do next?" And then, you know, now everybody knows who he is, and he's in everything. And he just seems like the nicest guy.
You remember Blackpool? I never really saw it, but he did Blackpool. There was a series called Blackpool.
Was that the one set in the hotel?
Yeah, it's him and David Tennant and David Morrissey in that. Yeah.
And wasn't Dexter Fletcher in that, playing sort of some kind of concierge?
I think so.
Familiar.
I think so.
Yeah, I think I saw a couple of episodes of that. But that was kind of, you know me, I like my sort of gritty drama or my drama docs, and the kind of Sunday fare 7:00 stuff is not so much my bag. Yeah. But talk to us about what it was like working with him, and how did you get on?
Oh yeah, really well. He's do you know what's that saying when people say don't meet your heroes or whatever it is?
Yeah, because you might be disappointed.
Yeah. But what you see is what you get with him. Like, you know, I'd seen him obviously loads of times on the TV and in TV shows, in interviews and whatever. But, you know, if you see an interview with him, that's just what he's like. He's really, really nice. So down to earth, really funny, really kind. You can it's just really lovely just to see how much love he's got for what he does as well, just to have that passion. The very first day I turned up on set, I got out the car, and obviously it's like the big, massive set and people running around, and, you know, little 24-year-old, like, again, as soon as he saw me, he just came bounding over, just gave me a massive hug and just was like, "We're going to have so much fun together, come on," and just took me under his wing, just looked after me, and was just like really nice all the time.
That's great.
Yeah, he's just lovely. Obviously as well.
Could you pin down a particular lesson or acting tool maybe that you learned from him specifically? I don't want to hold you to it. But
I liked how he always like prepared himself before scenes. Like it would be like, I don't know, 3 a.m. when we're doing night shoots, and I'll be standing there like that, but he's doing.
That's the middle of the day for you, isn't it?
Come on, Phil. Do you know what I mean? It's just the energy.
Yeah.
Just so much energy, and even though we've done the same thing again and again and again, he's just really enthusiastic, and he's just got this wonderful energy, and he just puts 100% into every single thing he does. Where there's one time he was just doing a wild track, and just even that, he just gives 100% every single time, and just enjoys it as well. And from what I saw working with him, doesn't take it for granted. He doesn't think it's owed to him. You can just see it's like on his first job. He just has so much love for what he does, but is also very gracious with the fans. I remember there was a scene that we had to do. Where was it? I think it was Gloucester, and someone said something on the radio that we were going to be there, and it was like the hundreds of people turned up. There was so many people there. It's like, and David Morrissey was like, this is like doing live theatre.
Yeah, I've met David Morrissey as well. He's a nice guy too.
Oh, he's brilliant. Those two just made me laugh all day long. They're so funny. But David Tennant, he has a lot of time for his fans as well, which is really, really lovely. The security had to keep dragging him away from the fans because he was trying to get everything.
Yeah,
I
can imagine.
Really
imagine that.
Cool guy, yeah.
Do you think that's important for a lead actor to have that energy? Do you think it's domino effects throughout the whole crew and the whole production when the lead actor's got that great energy?
Definitely.
More than acting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it really had an effect on everybody else as well. And it was quite funny. Yeah. Doing the night shoot with him, I was like, I want to go to bed. He was like, no, come on, let's go, star jumps.
I'm going to, if anybody in chat wants to ask a question, if you're in the chat, you want to ask Vel a question, do chuck it in the chat. I've got a load of quick fire questions I'm going to ask you now, while Suzette thinks of some after. What was the first film you ever saw in the cinema on the big screen?
The Little Mermaid.
The Little Mermaid, Under the Sea.
I love that film.
I'm not going to sing it.
Advert. I remember I was 7 years old, I think 6 or 7. I was watching an advert on it on the TV. I didn't say anything, but my older sister must have just seen this look on my face, and she went, "Do you want to see it?" And I was like, next thing I know, she's got the yellow pages out. Anyone who's under 30 might not know what that is.
I don't know what you talk of.
That was Google in a book. Google in a big yellow book delivered to your door.
Yeah, within half an hour we'd left the house and she took me to see it, and it was just the best day ever.
Fantastic. We've got a bit of an echo on the audio, by the way. So if anyone does have another device on anywhere, do either mute it or moderate the volume. So that was the first film, Little Mermaid. My first film in the cinema on the big screen was Bambi. Not on the original release, re-release. Then last film that you saw at the cinema?
I can't remember. That's really bad.
Well, I mean, a lot of us haven't been for a while because of COVID and all the rest of it. I've just been to see Batman, which I won't talk about now. But
Will saw that the other day, Lance. Obviously, Will Johnson's a huge
Batman fan, and his kind of DJ nickname is the Batman. Yeah.
Yeah, the Dark Knight.
Cool.
Did he like it?
We couldn't dark that, but he said 11 out of 10. Would you agree?
It's
he loved it.
It's like a murder mystery thriller with a bit of action, and actually, I'm so superheroed out. Because I know there's a lot of big Marvel fans and all the rest of it out there, but there's just been so many of them films now, and they have a similar formula, and there's always too many villains as well, and I just get bored, and I find the big fight scenes boring. Yeah, the last Spider-Man was good because of the script, but I just find there's no sense of risk. This was completely different. This felt like they really scaled it back, and they made it set in a universe that felt a bit more tangible and had a bit more risk. And it just felt grounded, and I didn't need all the big action stuff with CGI and 20 ships flying around and all that shit. I prefer that, actually. So I agree with him. I wouldn't say I'd given it 11 out of 10. There was a couple of things, and I think it could have been a bit shorter. And you know, Zoe Kravitz in a Catwoman costume. What's not to love?
Happy day.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, it's good. I've done a good job, and I'm surprised because I wasn't sure that property had life in it again so soon.
Yeah.
And that was a good way to take it. But okay, so you still can't remember the last movie you saw?
I can't. I'm really
Toy
trying.
Story 4, maybe.
What's that?
Toy Story 4. That was the
No.
last one I saw before lockdown, I think.
Oh, hang on. I've just remembered.
And chat, I'll get to your questions in a sec. Don't worry.
Jennifer Hudson, the Aretha Franklin film.
Story.
Fun.
Yeah, the biopic.
Yes.
Yeah, what did you think of that?
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was brilliant. I think Jennifer Hudson was the perfect casting as well.
Yeah, she was a good choice.
I really enjoyed it. I was very surprised because I know I've seen Angela Bassett as Tina Turner of that film so many times. What I wasn't aware of with Aretha is that she had a very similar background with the abusive husband and all the everything that she went through. That surprised me. I didn't know that about her.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these stories don't kind of surface until later, and they're of that generation where women becoming emboldened and you know, self-powered and having careers of their own and making their own career choices were often dominated by don't shady figures is maybe a bit of a broad term because not everybody was like that, but you know, certainly, I mean, I loved What's Love Got to Do with It. I saw that at the cinema actually at the Warner West End in Leicester Square when they still had the big WB symbol up in front of the cinema. Yeah, and it was so good. It was just, you kind of forgot you were watching Angela Bassett in the role. You just felt like you were watching. My favorite scene in that movie is when she goes to the hotel.
Oh my gosh, you literally took the words out of my mouth. Yeah.
I knew you were and she goes up and she says, I haven't got any money. And the hotel manager just looks at her and he says, don't worry, Mrs. Turner, we got you. And he just sorts her out a room so she can get away from it all for the night. And that's when they've had that fight in the car, isn't it? And she actually fights back and kicks the shit out of him. And you're like in the cinema, you're like, yeah, go on, get in there, woman, get in there. It's
the ride is real.
Because I just can't abide, you know, women being punched and this kind of thing. It's, you know, unless it's in a Marvel film, then it's kind of normal.
Then it's the battle.
It's kind of normal in a Marvel film. As long as someone's got a cape on. Well, both people have got capes on.
Or superpowers.
There's a couple of questions in the chat that I'll just do quickly. And Josh and Rennie are both good friends of mine. Lovely people. Rennie just said, who is your favorite actor to play Batman? I'll just put that up quickly. And hers is Christian Bale. I know who mine is, but I'll wait till you.
Mine, is it Rennie? Hi, Rennie. Mine has to be. Mine's Michael Keaton.
Good choice. Sue?
Really like.
Mine's Michael Keaton because I think that's the only one I've seen.
I'm of the new Batman, I'm gonna say probably also Michael Keaton, because those were the first films that I saw that it felt like the comic. But overall, I'm sorry, I've got to say Adam West for me.
What's that?
Adam West for me.
Adam
West from the Kapow Bosch era.
I didn't want to say I don't know what you're talking about, but I do. Yeah, that was the time.
So, okay. And then I think there was another question. I think we've kind of answered this, but Josh has asked, who's the most famous person you've met, Velile?
Who's the famous person I've met? David Tennant.
Is it? It might be David Tennant, potentially.
Yeah. David Tennant is the. Let me think.
I mean, he's bigger. He's bigger now than he was.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it would be
Was
David
then.
Tennant. Yeah, David Tennant. Lovely Mr. Tennant is. Yeah, I'm still trying to. Oh, thank you, Eddie. I'm still trying to Whoopi Goldberg. Still want to try and make that happen. Maybe someday.
Our
Yeah.
friend,
I'll try though.
our friend Mr. Brown, who also got a channel of his own, is in the chat. He did a big chat on The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, one of my favourite movies of all time.
That was only a night. Yeah.
Great film.
Yeah.
Not so keen on the remake, but and they were talking about that into the wee hours of the morning last night. Rennie is actually doing her own rendition of the Batman song as we speak.
Wonderful!
I love it.
So, the majority of us.
So Val, what are your 3 TV shows? Not necessarily. I'm not talking about Dallas from the 1980s, but the 3 TV shows of recent times, the sort of last 3 to 5 years or 3 to 5 weeks, even, that are must watches for you.
I saw it. I've got to say it because it's my favourite show, The Simpsons. I don't know if you
do you know what? The last season of that, the last couple of seasons, they've really got their mojo back with the writing. They went through a period where they were pretty lame for a while, and it feels like they got the magic back recently. Yeah.
Love it.
So The Simpsons, that is a favourite of mine. What else you got?
I became obsessed with Breaking Bad over lockdown.
Oh, I love that.
How
I've got to say it. I actually prefer Better Call Saul over Breaking Bad.
I started that.
I think this is just Rennie expressing her opinion of is that of Vel or is that just of someone else? I don't know. She's certainly not talking about me. Yeah, have you not seen Better Call Saul?
No, I haven't actually. I'll make a note of that and then
it's a great
afterwards, after Breaking Bad.
I think I find I'm more in empathy with the character of Saul than I am with Bryan Cranston's character.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I don't know, but I kind of like by the last season of Breaking Bad, even though it was the last season, it was a real slog for me to get to the end. Watched the first couple and then I didn't watch the rest for like a year or something.
Oh, really?
I think we were in production on the journey, to be fair, at the time.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're
very late.
I don't know if you remember when we were out filming in Greece. We can talk about that shortly. There were nights when all the crew were like watching episodes of Game of Thrones. and the red wedding episode actually happened when we were out in Greece on the first shoot before you were there. Yeah. And suddenly through the wall next to the room I was staying, I hear all this, oh my god, everyone's been killed. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? I thought someone had been murdered in the hotel. No, it was the red wedding episode from Game of Thrones on in the room next door. All the crew were getting a bit crazy.
Have you seen all of Breaking Bad then, Val? Have you seen it all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've seen it all now.
Guys, the series that really stuck out for me. Who's the black actor? The one that was oh gosh, what's his name? The glasses, the one that
oh yes,
working
the cartel.
Works behind the chicken counter.
Yes.
He's an absolutely fantastic actor. God, what a phenomenal guy.
Mind blowing.
Yeah.
Mind blowing. What's his name? That's going to drive me crazy.
And he turns up in Better Call Saul as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in a couple of episodes, I think. If I remember rightly. I'm sure somebody in the chat will chime in with his name. I'm going to have a quick look. Giancarlo Esposito.
That's one.
Giancarlo Esposito, and it's absolutely fantastic.
He's incredible.
Great character.
If there was a show like now that's running now that you could be in, American, English, whichever, which one would you like to be in?
That's a
For
really
those
good.
casting directors watching at home, sharpen your pencils and have them ready, please.
Listen.
Details of Velile's agents coming up on the screen shortly.
So TV series that are on at the moment that I'd like to be in. I think something like Black Mirror. I'd love to do something like that.
Mm.
Black Mirror. I
Good
think
show.
is
Good show.
absolutely amazing. So well written. The acting is sublime. So well produced, and it just makes you think. It's just close enough to real life where you're like, oh my gosh, I could see that happening. But it's I'd love to do that. Just really throw
Did you
myself.
see Jason Fleming's episode?
What's that? Yes.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Loved Jason. He was brilliant. I really liked working with him on the journey. He was great. I loved oh gosh, come on, Val. What's her name? It will come to me. Beautiful mixed race girl. It turned out she was then everyone was
The episode set in the museum, set in the weird museum. Is that the one you're thinking of?
not in the museum, but she wakes up in her house. I can see her face. She used to be in Sugar Rush. Lenora Critchlow.
Oh, Lenora Critchlow. Yeah, okay.
Yes, her episode that really stuck out to me as well. When she woke up and then she was being chased and people were just filming her. And she didn't. And then I don't want to spoil it for anyone that might not have seen.
I know the episode you mean. That's a really good episode. The girl I was thinking of was the one who then later on was in Black Panther and had a massive role in that. I'm trying to think of her name because I think Black Mirror was the first thing I actually saw her in, or certainly the first thing I saw her do a leading role. And it was kind of a revenge story which tied into a whole load of other episodes. And it was really clever. And suddenly, she kind of turns around and says this thing, and I was Letitia Wright.
Yes.
Yeah, she was really great in
love her back.
In Black Mirror. One of the Renee in chat has just mentioned probably it's got to be my favorite show of most recent years, and no one's seen it. And I've mentioned it so many times. Going to give it another plug now. Mr. In Between.
Mr. In Between.
It's 3 seasons. It's about it was filmed as a pilot originally, just like a one-off pilot. One of the Edgerton brothers, if you know Joel Edgerton and those actors, one of them has a production company in Australia, and it's his company that's producing it. Because I wrote to them actually, and what can I do to write for this show because it's so good. That was all tied up, but they did reply to me, which was very kind of them. And it's about a doorman and the relationship between him and his daughter. But you think he's just like a doorman, but it turns out he's also a hitman and a career criminal, but a really serious career criminal. And he's really clever. He doesn't boast. And his character's called Ray Shoesmith, and the actor who plays him is absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, and it's got some brilliant humor. Yeah, I'm going to do an episode of Outcast Chat about it. Definitely watch it, Vel, because you love it.
That's Mr. In Between.
Mr. In Between. There's a great scene where the police turn up and knock on his door, and they're like, "Are you Ray Shoesmith?" And he just goes, "I don't ask questions." But are you Ray Shoesmith? I don't answer questions, mate. Right, because we need to ask you some questions if you're Ray Shoesmith. Yeah, I don't answer questions because he knows the law. He's not obliged to say anything.
Yeah, he's not.
And and that scene goes on for like 3 minutes with him just going, I don't answer questions. And occasionally he says something else and then just comes back to, I don't answer questions, mate.
Hey, that sounds so cool.
And then there's another brilliant scene where a hoodlum makes the mistake of knocking over his girl's ice cream and laughing about it, and you can imagine where that goes. You can see Rennie saying Ray is badass. He certainly is. The actor who plays him is absolutely fantastic.
Oh, amazing.
So Vel, some more questions for you quickly. British male actor that's influenced you the most, would you say?
British actor that's influenced me the most. I'd have to say Idris Elba. Mr.
Idris
Elba.
Elba.
Yeah,
Have you met him?
definitely. Pardon?
Have you met him? Have you?
No,
met
I haven't, unfortunately. I'd love to meet him, but he, he's someone that I look up to. He's come from a very similar background to me.
Right.
I don't think he's come from from as far as I know, he's self-made as well. He's just worked really, really hard, really talented, and he's just smashed it. So yeah, that's who.
I'd quite like. I mean, this is controversial, I know, but I would quite like to see him play Bond. Actually,
I would.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to see a female Bond because Bond is not a female character. I would love to see a 009 spin-off series.
Yeah.
You know, why not? Why can't we have a 009 spin-off series and have 10 009 films? And that is a female agent in that universe.
Yeah.
Great, let's do that. Because Jinx, Halle Berry's character, nearly got her own spin-off show, and I was really keen to see that happen. And it didn't. Her. I don't know why it didn't happen, but I'm not concerned about what race Bond is. Bond in the modern era, as far as I'm concerned, can be any race, but it should be a man, in my view.
I think.
What do you think? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's it's not sexist or anything to say that, but I completely agree as well. Race, no, I don't think so. But Bond, I do see it as a male character, and I'm for thinking outside the box. Do you know what I mean? And being creative in that way. But I think there's some things at the same time that should be the way they.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got to honour Ian Fleming's work, in the same way that I don't think you should go back and plagiarise someone's character and then just twist it to, write
a whole other
completely
character.
Different from the original work. I think if Ian Fleming was alive today, I don't think he'd have an issue with Bond being of a different race. I don't, because that's London today.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the origins of Bond's backstory. I think actually is that he's Scottish originally, because that ties into him going up to Scotland in one of the.
Okay.
But there are black people in Scotland, so
yeah.
Is there?
Yeah,
there's told me
there's 27 of them at least in Scotland. I think those arguments are a bit silly. It's never been a plot integral thing. If you're doing a remake of Mississippi Burning, still set in the 1960s, then certain characters are going to be black and certain characters are going to be white.
Yeah.
So, Michael Fassbender would be my other choice. Fassbender or Idris Elba for me would be
amazing.
So, Vel, female actress that's influenced you or inspired you?
I'm going to say Diane Parrish. Everyone knows her from EastEnders, but she has been in this industry for years. She studied the ball, done so much stuff. She's fantastic in EastEnders. Yeah. But for me, I love her, and I got to meet her maybe about 7 years ago. I was at a party with a good friend of mine. Who'd thrown the party, Jimmy Akimbola, who's one of my friends that I'm very proud of at the moment, is smashing it.
I've asked him to come on the show, and he said no, he's too busy.
No, he is. He's in LA.
I know that. Yeah.
Is he with Nabil?
Busy.
With Nabil El Wahabi?
Sorry,
is he with Nabil El Wahabi? Are they working together?
Over there at the moment as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my old college friend.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I love Nabil. Nabil and Jimmy, both lovely human beings, and I mean, Jimmy's done an awful lot to promote, acting for young people who don't normally have the access. We were talking about access and different routes earlier, and Jimmy and Chizzy and that gang. I can't trying to remember Triforce. Triforce, and they kind of had their monologue slams, didn't they?
Yeah, with Fraser.
With
Fraser.
with Fraser as well. You should be a judge. You should be a judge on one of those, Phil, I think. Yeah, Diane Parrish is a fantastic actress.
She's
and I
a
for
lovely
those people,
lady. Oh,
lovely. She is really lovely woman.
By my friend David Webber, and it's funny. I always get compared to. It's really funny. Quite often, I get people say, "Oh, you remind me a bit of Denise from EastEnders," which is I'm happy with that. But it's really funny. My friend David Webber, when she was at Jim's party, he could see I was quite excited. Want me to introduce you, Phil? I've known her for a long time. And I was like, yes, please. And then we had a conversation. She was so really, really nice lady. But I love her acting, and she's been one of my inspirations as well. Definitely.
Did you see her in Holding On?
Holding On? No, I didn't see her in Holding On.
So that's another BBC drama. One of the best. When people ask me, for 2 recommendations for good writing, the 2 things I always say to them to watch are Holding On and Our Friends in the North. And we're going to do Outcast episodes about both of these, by the way, and break them down as to why they're good. And Holding On, one of the best dramas ever written. And Diane Parrish's storyline is one of like the multiple storylines, about 10 people in London, and one event pulls them all together and rips them all apart. And she's great in it. She's got her brother is murdered, and it's a really interesting storyline about how that murder kind of gets turned into a Stephen Lawrence thing when it really wasn't. It was the guy who killed her brother was a mental health thing, and he was depressed, but it all got politicized, and it's very interesting.
Wow.
So there was a lot of parallels to what was happening in London at that time. And there were a lot of characters in Holding On that were inspired by people around those events. Yeah. And that's, to me, is what made it all the more believable. Everything felt grounded in reality. You could believe these people were. Leslie Manville and David Morrissey was in it. David Morrissey's story was one of the main stories. So that's another one to add to your to-watch list.
Absolutely.
So what would you say is the role that you've always wanted to play that you haven't got to do yet? Character role. I mean, most people normally pick something out of Shakespeare, but
the first one that pops into my head, I would love to play a role. I can't remember. Oh, Nettie, not Nettie. The Colour Purple. What's Whoopi Goldberg's character's now? I know her sister's Nettie.
Is it Celia? Cecily?
Yeah.
Cecily? Yeah.
Something like that. Really, really just something that I just have to completely throw myself into. That is some massively challenging role. Something like that would be incredible. I've always wanted to do a role like that.
That would be a good production to do. I mean, that's been done on stage. I think it was a stage play before it was a movie. Am I right in thinking that?
I'm not sure.
It's a book.
Really?
It was a book, and I know Steven Spielberg did the film.
Yeah.
Which caused a bit of a kerfuffle at the time, because it was like, why is Steven Spielberg doing this sort of black historical story? And I know it has been done on stage since the movie, but I think it might have been done before the movie as well. But there you go, Vel. You see, the producer in you needs to come out, get that stage production, and you should talk to the Lyric Hammersmith about it while you're there. They might be up for doing that.
Why not?
You should say to them, look, I think that would be a great production for you to do, and I know someone who'd be very interested in playing the role of Cecily, and I hear she's available.
And she's here.
Yeah, plus there's this great director I know called Lance, who's got lots of experience in theatre, who's dying to direct a play here. So, I hear he might be available as well. Just make sure there's a working loo. So,
I'll just say as well, because you mentioned this 009 character. Another kind of role I've always liked to do is like the equivalent of Bond, but loads of action.
Yeah.
Like those kind of roles as well. Those really appeal to me. Definitely.
Yeah.
Bad guy.
John Reed mentioned earlier that one of the Doctor Who's he liked was Peter Capaldi. I've got to agree. Actually, I really did like Capaldi. I thought he was a great choice for Doctor, but just didn't have the best scripts in my view.
Okay.
He had some good episodes. I think he was on for two seasons, maybe 3.
I think it was that.
Yeah, and he had some good scripts initially, and then after that, I don't know, but he was he's a great actor. I love Peter Capaldi. He's a really lovely guy as well.
Brilliant. Yeah.
And fantastic actor. So okay, so the role you'd most like to say, an action role, or potentially, and 3 seasons. Rennie's just correcting me. I haven't seen the 3rd one, so that'd be why. Director that you'd most like to work with that you haven't worked with yet? Anyone in particular?
Spike Lee. That would be amazing.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Is he is still directing, isn't he? What was the last film he did?
I think so. I'm pretty sure he is.
Yeah, I know he's been working on he did an amazing documentary about Hurricane Katrina. And I heard that he might be doing some kind of drama show about that.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a plethora of stories there about both heroic and tragic and everything in between. I think that would be a great thing to mine. So get working on that Southern American accent, Vel.
Yes. I'm a Tarantino fan as well. So Tarantino as well.
Did you see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
No.
You've not seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
I haven't, which is absolutely crazy. I can't believe I haven't seen that.
Well, do you know what we were talking about? We were talking about something to do socially. Come round, we'll have a proper catch up, and let's watch that. I've got the Blu-ray with all the bells and whistles.
Amazing.
I absolutely love it. Renee's just made a great point. It sucks when great actors are stuck with bad writing, which is something that actors, when they work with me, never have to suffer from that problem. I'm quite proud to say. So before we kind of round it off, maybe that's a kind of neat segue into Vel and I have worked together a couple of times, and one of those times was on this. And that is actually Vel. This is Vel in this shot.
I've got mine here somewhere. I don't know.
I thought you were looking.
I cried all the way through that, Vel. Every time you showed up on screen, I just was so moved.
It was just and I could have played that part. I could have played that. And there you are on the back.
Yeah.
Along with Duncan Powell, Dick and Jason, of course.
Yeah.
Mitchell, Dimitri, and Shirin. Fantastic Shirin. We love Shirin.
Lovely lady.
So was that your first experience of working on a feature film?
Was it my first experience? Yeah, that was actually. Yeah, that was. Gosh, it was. I had a fantastic time with it. It was so good. It was such a beautiful story as well. Really beautiful story.
Tell us about the role you played in. I mean, I know, but tell those watching at home.
I'm trying to find my copy of the DVD. I can't find. It's here somewhere. So as the film, The Journey, it is dedicated to your friend. Forgive me if I've got the wrong name, Lance. Angela. Yeah,
Angela's correct. Yeah.
Yes. I play Cytherea. Did I say that right?
Cytherea.
Yeah, and
which also means what in the ancient tongues?
What's that?
Which also means what in the ancient tongues? I'm just checking to see if Vel remembers her backstory.
I can't remember what it means. Just tell
really?
Me. I can't remember. I'm rubbish.
It's another name for Aphrodite, the goddess Aphrodite. Which is the character that... Oh, hang on. We shouldn't say that because that's a bit of a spoiler.
Oh, yeah. It actually is.
No relevance. It's purely a coincidence. Ignore that. Yeah, so you play Cytherea, anyway, who, looks a bit like another person. Tell us about her.
Yeah, she keeps kind of popping up throughout the film. And and it's not really clear if she's actually there. Yeah, she keeps popping up here and there, and it's almost like she's this vision. Do you know when you kind of see something, you're not sure something's there, and it's only until we get to the end. I don't want to give a spoiler away either, but she explains what her role is in someone's life.
Your dialogue doesn't really come until you've kind of got a couple of whispered nightmare lines, and then your dialogue comes right at the end.
Right at the end, but I'm not going to say too much because I'll give so much away.
Do you that was the second biggest dialogue scene in the movie. Do you remember what happened that day when we were filming?
Those blooming dogs.
Maybe just discuss that while I quickly just dash to the bathroom.
Yeah. So what was happening? We had to shoot this scene it was a lot of dialogue, It's a very important part of the film, and we were losing sunlight quite rapidly, so we really were under pressure. And we were filming up like mountains, like really beautiful, and these flipping dogs.
They're different out there, aren't they?
They stopped barking. It was so annoying. And I sat up for a bit, and it just seemed like they were doing it on purpose. Obviously, they weren't. But every time we were like, "Okay, let's roll, let's go again, let's start again," and it was just so frustrating. I love dogs. I really am a dog. But that day, I didn't like them very much.
No, things to do. Sun's going down.
Yeah, so sun was going down. These dogs wouldn't shut up, but we just about managed to, to get through it. But it was really
that day was a nightmare.
Quite. That was.
And I know none of us were happy with the scene, and we talked about maybe trying to pick it up on the mainland on the last day, but by the time, but then you couldn't come on the boat because we had to do that shot of you, waving. With the camera on the boat, so we were all on the boat, which was actually going to the mainland. You had to come on the next boat. So that, I mean, I don't know. I think there's a lot of the funny thing is there's a lot of freedom when you're working on an independent film. There's a lot of limitations, but there's a lot of freedom that comes with those limitations. The limitations are always money. But the freedom comes with it's an independent film. There isn't a studio exec saying, tonally, I think this is wrong. Can we, add this message in, or can we add this? Or actually, no, you've got to cut this. So that, we had that on our side. I mean, my main memory of that second shoot, which was a polar opposite of the first shoot, was everyone got on so well that everyone wanted to go drinking at the end of every day, and Vel can drink everyone under the table. So she'd be fine, but the next day the rest of the crew would be like, we had to sort of, like, me and the first AD had to start putting our foot down a bit and say, like, guys, maybe let's kind of drink on Friday, and maybe not every night. And and then the one morning I gave Vel off was when we had this amazing mist come in. I've got a picture of it actually. Which you just couldn't have manufactured. I think there's a picture of it in here.
Where were you filming?
We shot on a couple of different islands, and one of them was Tia, as it's pronounced locally. And I don't know if there's a photograph of it in this book, but this weird mist surrounded the island on the second from last day, but it hung like 6 feet above the water, and then there was a thick band for about another 8 feet, and then completely blue sky. So it was like a ring. It was really weird. It was like something out of a video game. And of course, as Vel's character was quite ethereal and quite sort of kind of, you weren't really sure of her origin. But you knew that there's something a bit mysterious, I think was the word we used a lot on set about her. That was the perfect weather to, like, quick, let's get Vel, who unfortunately was fast asleep, didn't have her dress or makeup on. So we got a load of shots of it, but none with you in it, which was a bit of a
No.
shame.
Yeah.
But I've got the whole book of the shoot here. We made this nice photograph album. There's a less that's not in Greece. That's in a London car park in Tottenham. A less glamorous location than this one on the front of my
beautiful.
Yeah.
Amazing.
What's the thing you most remember about that shoot? Favorite moment, maybe? Funniest moment?
But I do really remember that filming that scene with Dickon. And I also remember filming with Jason Fleming. That day was really, really lovely.
Yeah.
He was naughty and bought us all dinner that night, but he was
we talked about that when we had him on a couple of weeks ago, and I went up to pay the bill and
he'd done it and
he'd already paid it. He did that the first shoot. He bought us all lunch on the first shoot.
Very nice.
And I knew he was gonna I had a feeling he might do it, so I thought, right, I better go and pay the bill now. And I went up and he sort of intercepted me and went, "It's done, son. It's done. It's all done, son." I was like, "What?" No, it's done, mate. It's done. It's done. And that was it. So, So I've got my last question here. It's a bit of a silly one, really. What's the film that you would you will stick on at home if you want to what's your go-to veg out? I'll put that on. I mean, I've got films that I always like to watch at Christmas, for example. It doesn't have to be a film you always... At Christmas, I will always watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and Muppet Christmas Carol has to be on by midday on Christmas Day, because that's a tradition.
Yeah.
But, if I'm feeling down, Lord of the Rings is a good lift
It's a good,
for me.
good.
It's a long lift. You've got to commit 12 hours.
Commit to the
editions. It's a 12-hour commitment for a lift, for a mental lift, but it's worth it.
The one
what's your veg out choice?
Pulp Fiction. I could just
Pulp Fiction.
I've seen that film, but I can just watch it again and again and again.
You see, I can't believe that you've not watched
I know
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and it's a film that really divided people.
Yeah.
And I was late to going to see it. I think I went. It'd been on for a couple of weeks, and I went to see it, and I thought, I'm not going to like this, because with me and Tarantino, I've either loved his films or I've been a bit disappointed. And I've rewatched them all again recently, and even the ones I was disappointed with, I like them more now.
Yeah.
Because I get him more as a director now.
Yeah.
I was a lot younger, but I just think you'll love. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is his love letter to Hollywood, but it's also him saying if Hollywood could have made up their own ending for this decade, and they shot a movie about it, this is how it would have ended.
Yeah.
These are the characters that would have been there, and these are the characters that would have changed that history, and it would have ended like this.
Yeah.
Right.
Brilliant.
And those characters are just such fun to watch. He keeps saying he's going to quit directing. I think he should do a sequel to it and set it in the 70s, and I think he should do another sequel to it and set it in the 80s. I'd love to see those films because I know he'd make them brilliant.
Yeah. Of course he would.
We're going
to do that. Me and Del are going to watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and then we're going to come on this channel and we're going to talk about it.
Yes.
Right? Want to do that? We're going to do that. We're going to do another episode. We're going to Vel and Lance do Hollywood. Okay.
Yes.
Brilliant.
We'll change the title, but yes.
Yeah. So, brilliant. Seems like a good place to end on. I'm just going to recap.
I've got my nephew literally banging on my doors. I've got to go and see him now.
No, that's fine. I'm just going to recap. So, look, guys, thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe to the channel. There's lots more of these coming. We're doing reviews, all sorts of things. Me and Matthew Holmes are going to be doing top 10 Westerns soon. We're going to be doing a breakdown of this. This is my favorite show at the moment. My Brilliant Friend. Recommend this to all the people watching, particularly I think the women will really like this. An Italian show now in its third season. We're going to be doing a breakdown of that pretty soon. And Vel is in Running with Lions with my friend Will Johnson and the other cast members.
Suzette Llewellyn, Nikolai King, and Izzy King.
And that's on at the Lyric Hammersmith, guys and girls, and everyone else until the 12th of March.
Mm-hmm.
There is a matinee on the Wednesday. There is a matinee on the Saturday. Do come along and check it out. And yeah, all it remains for us to say is thank you, Vel, for coming on the Outcast Creative Channel, giving us some of your time on your only day off. Your only day off. But now what we want to see is the theatre packed out as a result of you coming. Brilliant.
Come and see it if you can.
So thanks very much. And thanks to my co-host, Suzette Pluck. Outcast Creative acting classes are on Monday nights in Birmingham. Where are they, Suzette?
At the Rainbow Pub, and it's a lot of fun.
Oh.
And we are on the London classes Monday nights above the Brewhouse and Kitchen in Highbury and Islington, but we're not on tomorrow because their toilet has exploded. I told Dickon not to use it last week after that curry.
We were doing so well.
That it's now we're not there. We're not there tomorrow. We'll be back there Monday week. So thanks very much from us, and we'll be back again soon.
Thank you so much.